Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vardhan, and on behalf of Edureka, I welcome you all to this session on Kibana tutorial. Now, a lot of you people might be thinking, why Kibana, right? So, the reason why I'm having a session on Kibana is because it is a very integral part of the ELK stack. And for those of you who don't know what the ELK stack is, don't worry, I will give you a quick introduction to what an ELK stack is, and then I'll get to Kibana. Okay, that would be my first topic of the day. So, Akash, Mahesh, Devraj, all of you in the session, don't worry, I'm going to first show you the agenda, and if you have any doubts after this, put them in the comment box and we'll clear it out. So, like I said, ELK stack would be the first topic that I'll be talking about. It'll be a small introduction, and after that, I will go into details of what is the role that Kibana plays in the ELK stack. Okay, and the next topic is going to be about the Kibana 5 dashboard. What do we have, in the dashboard? I will give you a quick demonstration. I'll give you an overview, and then finally, I will give you a demonstration of how to perform visualization and analytics with Kibana. Right. So a majority of the session is going to be hands-on, but I'm going to show you a few slides before I get to that point of time. Okay. So guys, I'm going to start the session, and if you have any doubts, you can put them in the comment box. So getting to our topic, ELK stack is basically a combination of three open source tools: Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. And the reason we use the Elasticsearch is mainly for performing a log analysis. Now, you can ask me, why do we need to do log analysis, right? A lot of people can have that question. Why is analyzing logs really important? Because a lot of people don't know the importance. A lot of people think that logs are a waste. They just get generated for no reason and they are of no use to us. Well, if there are any of you in this session who has the same opinion, then guys, it's time to change your opinion, because logs are actually one of the most important piece of data that you can generate, right? So whatever way in which you're going to grow your business, logs are going to have a hand in that. Now, the reason is that in today's world, be it any business, okay, it can be anything. It can be banking, or it can be banking or finance domain. It can be IT. It can be educational domain. Any domain, take it, for that matter of fact. In these domains, computing devices play an important role. In fact, even non-computing devices like routers, switches, bridges, all these also play an important role because of technology, right? We need internet. We need to use mobiles or these laptops or systems. So because of these reasons, it's really important that we also make sure that these computing or non-computing devices are healthy all the time. Because take, for example, a company that relies completely on the internet, like say there's a software solution provider, and he has a server running, and basically his product is sold on the cloud. He may be a software as a service provider. At that time, if all his services on the cloud, and if something happens to his server where he's hosted his software, then there can be a big problem, right? If there's a downtime in the server, then that can lead to a lot of loss, because if his product is not being used by his customers, then they're just going to walk away. His business is down, right? So that's just one example I gave you, but take any other example also. It's really important that you have to have your devices up and running, your computing, non-computing devices, your IoT devices, if you have any, your smartphones, smartwatches, all these devices should be up and running. Now, how will you make sure that these are healthy, these are up and running? How will you make sure that you use them the least and make the most profit in your business, right? So if you want to do all these things, you got to use this ELK stack. Now, ELK stack, you got to use it because it's a log analysis tool. There are a lot of other tools in the market for the same purpose: Splunk, Sumo Logic, Logly, and a lot of more. Now, the thing is that all these other tools, they are not open source. I mean, a few are open source and a few are free, but ELK stack is the easiest, the best tool that you can use, which is license free for performing log analysis. And like I said, log analysis is really important for all the reasons I mentioned earlier. And if you want to perform these log analysis, you have to use a combination of these three tools. You have to use Elasticsearch, you have to use Logstash, and you have to use Kibana. Now, why do we really need to use Elasticsearch? Because Elasticsearch is an Apache Lucene based search engine. Okay, it is developed using Java, and that is basically your database, which is going to hold all your data. Okay, and whatever analysis or searching you do it on Elasticsearch. And what about Logstash? So Logstash is that tool which is used for collecting and for monitoring these logs from remote machines, because your logs can be generated from anywhere. It can be generated from IoT devices, maybe from smart bulbs, smart watches, smart TVs. It could be generated from servers. It could be generated, you might have server logs, system logs, whatever logs, right? And there are a lot of ways your data will get generated. Now, since Elasticsearch is where that data should be for us to perform analytics and searching, how will you get the data to Elasticsearch, right? So Logstash falls right there. That's where Logstash comes into the picture. Logstash does it for you. It creates a pipeline from where data from multiple sources can be combined and put into one particular database, to create one particular database, into store it in one particular index. And the index in our case is in Elasticsearch. So Elasticsearch stores data in the form of indexes, and Logstash is responsible for getting data in from multiple sources to that particular index, correct? So at this point of time, you can also ask this question: if Logstash can do the data collection, and if Elasticsearch can do all the analytics, then why do we need Kibana? Well, the reason we need Kibana is because Kibana is the most integral part. I mean, how good is your Elasticsearch if you cannot interact with that, right? How good is your ELK stack? I mean, your Elasticsearch can be able to do searching, it could be able to do analytics, but the fact is that it does not have a UI. Like I said, Kibana is the tool that provides the front end user interface to your ELK stack. So if you be it searching the data, or be it performing analytics, be it creating reports or creating a dashboard with a lot of other reports in place, all these things are done on Kibana, right? So you do the searching via Kibana, and then Kibana actually goes and searches Elasticsearch for that particular data. So at the end of the day, it's Kibana which does the entire trick. So it's highly important that you know Kibana, because Kibana, if you don't know how to work with Kibana, then you cannot work with the ELK stack. As simple as that. I think that was a good enough explanation. If any of you have doubts, please put them in. I will answer. Okay, so seems like no doubts. I'm going to move on then. Now, how do they work together? I mean, like I said, Logstash will do the log collection or the data collection. It can get data in from system logs, from log files, from Kafka queues, which is again a messaging platform, a distributed messaging platform. You can get data in from there. You can get data in from RabbitMQ and various other sources. Okay, and what Logstash would do is it would create a pipeline and send data through that pipeline to Elasticsearch, and Elasticsearch would store that data in different indices. And finally, if you want to search that data at a later point of time, or if you want to perform analytics, if you want to get insights based on that data which is collected, then all that is done with the help of Kibana, right? That is what performs the queries on Elasticsearch. The one thing you should note is that Logstash can get data, send the data as an output to other sources also, to a lot of other destinations. But in our ELK stack, it's going to be Elasticsearch, which is going to be the receiver of the data. Okay. Okay. Now, since I've spoken so much about the ELK stack and about Kibana, let me go forward. And so, what is the role of Kibana in ELK? Right. So that's what I'm going to cover over here. There are mainly three things which I again told you earlier, but I'm just recapping it over here. The first and foremost thing is that it enables us to do the searching and interact with the data in Elasticsearch, right? That's the first and foremost thing. And it also allows us to perform advanced analytics and helps us create reports based on that data and create a dashboard of those reports and share it with other people. It's called dynamic dashboards, get shared with a lot of other people, be it your team. You can share it with all of those people. And then it also enables us to create the sharing of dynamic dashboards. I mean, just like I explained a couple of seconds back. And this dynamic dashboard will also get updated in real time. So data can be coming in at real time from various sources. It can be coming in to Elasticsearch with the help of Logstash, and whatever reports that you create on the dashboards, those will get updated with the newest data coming in, right? So you might create a data of statistics of the last 24 hours, right? So data will be coming in continuously, and the analytics or the reports will be based on the last 24 hours data, correct? So at such times, you don't have to go and refresh or create a new report every time. With the help of Kibana, those dashboards and those reports can get updated in real time, and basically that's how a lot of people will use Kibana. Be it your colleagues or be it your superiors, you can just open up your dashboard, give them the link to where your dashboards are, and then they can see all the reports on your dashboard and they'll get the answers, correct? So that's the three big benefits with Kibana. So before I go forward, I want to just let you know that Kibana is, again, it's a web-based tool. In fact, even Elasticsearch is, right? So you interact with Kibana over the web, and it's always hosted on port number 5601 by default. You can change it, but however, by default, the port number it runs on is 5601. Okay, I have a question here. He says, what about Elasticsearch? The port number, where does that run? The port number on which Elasticsearch runs is port number 9200, Akash. All right. Okay, great. That's a good question. I'm sorry I didn't mention it earlier. So anyways, moving forward, I just want to quickly finish up with my PPTs by showing this one slide of the fact that a lot of popular companies are using Kibana. Let's say, take LinkedIn, for example, or Stack Overflow, Netflix, Accenture, HipChat. A lot of these people are implementing ELK Stack compared to its competitors. Of course, because it's one thing is it's costly, and the second thing is that with Kibana and with Elasticsearch, you can do just about anything that you can do with Splunk or the others. It may be a little difficult. It might involve people who are technically who can get hands dirty. But the only other benefit that other tools have is that they can be used by even non-technical users. That's the only benefit. But otherwise, ELK Stack is up there, right? It's up there in the market and it's growing. And trust me, in the future, the market share is going to be dominated by ELK Stack in the log analysis domain. Okay. So now that I've told you so much about ELK Stack, I want to get started with my hands-on and give you some action instead of just boring you with PPTs. Okay, so data visualization with Kibana, that's a topic. And first, let me open up the port numbers, right? So like I said, your Elasticsearch is hosted on port number 9200. Okay, now I can type in port number 9200 over here, but it might not work because I haven't initiated that process, correct? Same thing with Kibana. So that is active usually on port number 5601. That also would not work. So the first thing that you got to do is that you got to start the service. So how will you start the service? You can simply go and start it from the extracted file. So it's Windows, which I'm using. And whenever you've extracted it, you will have these three tools, right? So I have various versions. I have versions 5.6.5, 6.0.0, and I have 6.1.1. You can use anything. I feel the version number 5.6.5 is the most stable. So I'm going to show you a demonstration on this particular version. So my three tools are here: Elasticsearch version 5.6.5, Kibana, and Logstash. Okay, so let's start the services for each of these three tools. So let me start with Elasticsearch first. Let me go in here, go to bin, and run the batch file. So that's all you got to do to start your Elasticsearch service. The rest would be taken care of. Let it happen. So in the meanwhile, we can go to Kibana and open up the batch file again. It's going to start our service. All right. Okay, my Elasticsearch is started, and even my Kibana is connected. It's not connected as yet, but let's just see. Okay, so even my Kibana is up and ready. So let me just quickly go back to my web browser and open up these ports. Now this shows that my Elasticsearch is up and running, and let me refresh this, and there you go. Even my Kibana service is started. Now I have not yet started my Logstash service. That's because I don't need to start my Logstash service right now. Only when I want to send data using the pipelines to my Elasticsearch, only then I need to use Logstash. So at that point of time, I can start the service. So for now, these two are good enough. So let me continue. Okay. Now that my Kibana console is here, let me just quickly run through each of these tabs. So whenever for the first time when you install Kibana, you would be taken to this particular tab, the management tab. Okay, so you would get a window something like this in the beginning. Okay, since I've already created these three indexes, I did not get this particular screen. Okay, but since the first time when you started, since you won't have any index which you need to map it with, you will get this kind of a screen. And whatever the name of the index that you want to give into where data is being stored, that has to be given here. So take an example in this case. There's a Shakespeare which I've written here, right? So there's one index which I created which has details about Shakespeare's work, literature, right? All his novels. So there's a data set, and that data set I uploaded through Logstash, and the index name is Shakespeare. And similarly, if you want to create an index for Shakespeare or any other purpose, then you just got to hit the name here. Just enter the index name, and you'll all be good. Okay. So that's what this tab is all about. For the first time, you'll be doing it over here. Okay, so once you have your data and once you've configured Logstash to get data into your Kibana, you can easily access that data by choosing which index you want. Okay, so you have to first go to the Discover tab over here, and then from here you have a drop down. You need to choose your index, and the details in that index would be thrown up. So if I choose demo, which was an index which I created recently, then initially it says no results found. Now that's because of the fact that there is a time range. In the last 15 minutes, there's been no data that's added to this particular demo index. Okay, so let me just change the timeline here. Let's just say today, or I can even say last 5 years. So in that case, all the other previous data which was there, that comes up, right? So in this particular demo index field, I have a customers.csv file. Okay, that's what I imported in this particular index. And similarly, in this particular Logstash index, I have some system logs. Okay, so let me just change the timeline again to last 5 years, and you can see that I have a lot of system logs. Since these data is so unstructured, you can understand that these are logs being generated by at some server or at some system, correct? And it's tough to analyze these logs, and that is where Kibana comes into the picture, or in fact the ELK stack comes into the picture and makes our job easier, right? It gives us a better view. It can understand logs better because it understands JSON format, and the whole purpose of ELK stack is to understand logs and help us understand those logs, right? So that's how our job gets simpler. Now, getting back to the previous act, I was showing you what was my third index, and third index has this Shakespeare details with regard to all his work, whatever he's done, right? All his plays, whatever dialogues were used, who are the speakers, and all these details. You can see the various fields in all these indexes. So similar to, I'm pretty sure you would have gone through the previous Elasticsearch tutorial video, which was again recorded by Edureka. Now the thing is, over there it's explained with respect to how Elasticsearch compares to a database. So I'm not going to go into that details now. Okay, I'm going to assume that you know everything from the Elasticsearch point of view. And what I'm going to teach you now is just that how to create reports, how to create dashboards, how to use this Kibana UI. Because first timers might have a little bit of a problem. Okay, so let me get started by first of all going to this particular Discover tab. In fact, we're already at that Discover tab. Okay, like I told you, this is where you get a view of all your logs. Now, if you want to create a graph, if you want to create a report or do anything like that, then you got to go to this Visualize tab over here. Okay, you got to say create a visualization, and you have various options. If you want to create an area chart, you can do that. If you want to create a heat map, you can do that too. Or if it's a horizontal bar or a line chart, a pie chart or a vertical bar, all these can be done. Besides this, you have more options for visualizing. You can store data, or you can create a data table, view, a report. You can gauge. You have goal. You have metric. Elasticsearch can read coordinates with the help of this coordinate map function. There is region map. There is Timeleon, which of course is used for time series analytics of logs which come over a period of time, right? Logs get generated every single second. Every millisecond there is log being generated. Now those logs over a period of time is tough to analyze. So Timeleon is there for that purpose to help us understand those logs. You have a Visual Builder, you have Markdown and Tag Cloud, and you have a lot of other options. Okay, but since this is introductory session, I want to talk about the basic charts over here. And in one of my upcoming sessions, I will talk about this very exciting coordinate map and Timeleon features. Okay, now these two are very exciting. I will do it later at a later point of time. Today's is going to be a basic introduction. I will create, probably if you want, I can create a pie chart for you, or vertical bar or a horizontal bar, anything which you would prefer. Okay. And the next tab that we have here is that of dashboard tab. Once you've created a number of reports with the help of these graphs, you can get all of them onto this one particular dashboard. So I will show you this dashboard later when I've done with creating a few of these reports. Okay. And then there is Timely-On. So Timely-On is another amazing feature that has come up with Kibana with ELK, and it's going to be very useful in the future for us to analyze data over a period of time. Okay. And then you have the next tab, which is the development tools tab. Now over here, if there are any details you want to add to your Elasticsearch, you can do it besides just doing it from Logstash. Okay, so this is your dev tools. It's right there on your left. You can use it to basically send your data, to search your data. If you want to analyze something, if you want to retrieve all the data that's present in an index, you can do that. You can search for it. You can also post your data. You can put your data to your Elasticsearch from here. You can do bulk API. So if you don't want to use Logstash, then there's another option of bulk upload. That is this, okay? Post underscore bulk. So with this, whatever logs you have, that can be easily put in to your Elasticsearch. So that's what I've done. So a bit of my Shakespeare logs, my Shakespeare data set, which was in JSON format, that I sent using this method of post underscore bulk. So that is about the development tools. Okay, so let's get back to just Kibana. Let me go to Discover and give you talk a little more about the data set that I'm going to show you a demonstration on. Okay, let me open up my PPT and explain that. So like I said, when you insert for the first time, you will get this window where you will have to set your index pattern, and you will have to create that index. Okay, and then whatever data that you have, you can discover that data, interact with that data from this Discover tab, like I showed you. So here, if you see, I've chosen the demo index, and over there your data can be in that log format and JSON format, or you can choose your fields over here. There's this option of selected fields, right? From the available fields, if you choose any of these fields, that would come in here, and those would be available as a separate column for you to read it. So this improves readability, right? So that's one good advantage with the Discover tab of Kibana. Similarly, what I've done with the Shakespeare data set is that from the available fields, I picked up pretty much all of the fields, which is nothing but ID, score, type, line ID, line number, play name, speaker, speech number, and text entry, right? So I've created a tabular view, and basically, as humans, for us, it's easier to understand it when it's this way, correct? For systems, it wouldn't make a difference. It would probably feel that logs are better. That's a better way of understanding. But for us, readability is important, right? So for us, we will create the data. We can, use Kibana to view data like this also in a tabular form. And you can also set it to, for a particular time range. You can do that too. So let me just quickly show you that. If you go to Discover tab, okay, so I am in the Discover tab. Yeah, so you can choose whether you want to search for the last 15 minutes, if you want to search for this year, or whenever, and then you would have all your logs over here, and you would get details about when these logs came into your machine, right, into your Elasticsearch. So if you just drill down here, you can see that it gives you more details, right? You can just hover over the screen like this, and you can drill down into the particular second of which particular date that data came in. So as you can see here, January 8th, 2018, 12:24. All right, and then January 8th, 2018, 12:24 again, but the difference is in milliseconds. So in basically 258 milliseconds, all the entire data set, which is nothing but the customer database CSV, that came in to my Elasticsearch, right? So you can easily drill down to a particular time range also. So since I did all this, you would have noticed that it's no more last 5 years, or it's not last 1 year anymore. The time range automatically changes over here. So that's the thing which you got to note. And okay, Akash is telling me that show me a tabular format of these logs of this data set, right? Okay, Akash. So like I showed you in the PPT, I'll give you this kind of a view over there also. Okay. So basically, if you want to add, if you want a tabular view, if you want to get fields, if you want to make it more readable, you can just go under the available fields options and you can just keep adding whichever fields you want. So customer type is a field here, timestamp is one, customer F name is nothing but first name, customer version, customer city, all these details, right? So let's just add customer city, customer first name, customer ID, and customer type. So when we add all these, when we just click on add over here, it gets added to selected fields, and whatever is there under these selected fields option, that gets displayed in the tabular format for us, right? So you have the time details over here as to when, which date this particular data came in, then whatever value is stored in that particular field. Like in this case, this particular person called Arlene is from New Orleans. The ID is 200, and the type of a customer this person is that it's loyal. So you have various options here: loyal, new, VIP. Again, there is loyal, there is VVIP, and a couple more, right? So later on, I will show you how to perform analytics or how to create reports based on this data. All right. So in the meanwhile, let me also go to another index, which is nothing but the Logstash index over here. And then let me show you how to create a tabular report over here also. So, okay, discover, I've chosen the Logstash index. And now, correct? We have these many fields over here. So these are actual server logs, system logs, which were generated back in 2015. And these were the various fields that got generated. So to understand these logs better, I can start adding fields. So let's say I add host, I add IP, I can add agent, I can add machine OS, I can add response, and yeah, I can pretty much add anything else, right? But this is good enough for me. So with this, what it shows is that whatever was in the form of events, right now, those were called events. The host for this particular event is this, okay? The IP address where this event got generated is this 210.15.113.62, and the agent over here is nothing but the browser which was probably used when this particular web page was accessed, right? Whatever was hosted on that server, whenever it was accessed using Mozilla. And similarly, the machine which the client used was Windows 7. It was a Windows 7 machine which accessed this. And the response that particular client or the particular user got was 200. Now, a lot of you people might not understand this easily, but get this. If there is a response of 200, it means that whatever request was made by this end user or by this client to the server, that was successful. The server got back with a success response of 200, which means that whatever was requested was serviced. But however, if you have some other response states like 404 or 500, then it means that there was probably an error. Something did not happen right. Okay. So those are the details that I have in this particular index of mine. And I can switch to my next index, which is nothing but the Shakespeare index. And over here, again, I can just say discover. I'm just refreshing all those fields. And I have all these available fields over here. From these fields, what do you think I might want a tabular view of? Let's say I want the value of score. I want to add type, line number, play name, who was the speaker, who were the speakers in that particular play. All these details, by just clicking it, it comes to selected fields, and when it's here, it gets displayed over here, correct? So you can see that the play which Shakespeare wrote was that of Henry IV, right? And there are a number of speakers. What you see on your screen here are just a few of them. So the first set of events have King Henry being the speaker, and the play name is also Henry IV. So similarly, if you keep scrolling down, you'll see that you have all your events being displayed, and of course, different events will have different values, right? So here the speaker is different, it's Falstaff, and here it's Prince Henry, not King Henry anymore. There is Falstaff again, and then you have a lot of other details which will come in through your Logstash, right? Or through your logs. So all that will be recorded and viewed over here. Now, besides these tabs and besides these index options, I did not mention one more thing. There's this brilliant add a filter option over here in Kibana, which can be used to filter out or eliminate data. So let me just click on add filter here and show you what I'm going to talk about. So let's say that I have different speakers here. There is right now there's King Henry IV, right? And there is Westmoreland. Let's say I want to filter only King Henry. I want to see only his events or his plays. Then what I can do is I can choose the particular field, which is nothing but speaker. I can choose it there. I'm going to choose speaker.keyword, and I can say is not, and then okay, I can simply say is. If I want to see only King Henry's, I can choose the condition as is, and then the value as King Henry 4. So when I hit save, then only those details with respect to this particular speaker would be displayed. Okay, no more Westmoreland, no more Falstaff and all, right? Only King Henry 4's details are coming up, and you will also know the number of results returned to you over here. So the word hit is the keyword that gets associated. So 239 hits means 239 results were returned. Now if it's not King Henry, then you have 1972 hits in total, 1972 hits. All right. So and King Henry appears that many number of times. If you want to filter out and view only this particular speakers list, then you can do that too. You can say again add filter, choose that particular field name, say is, and Westmoreland, and you get only his details now. Okay, so you can also modify it in such a way that you get the negative thing. Suppose you want all the results except for those of Westmoreland, you can do that too. You can quickly go and edit it, and the value instead of saying is, you can make it is not Westmoreland, and when you hit on save, then all the check out the number of hits, the difference there, right? So all the results which do not have Westmoreland as speaker, those would be returned to you. So that's how easy it is to search data here and to interact with your data, right? So this is just one of my indexes. So similarly, if I go to the log/index, I have my system logs here, correct? Which I was showing you, telling you earlier. So let me just add a few of those fields onto the dashboard. So let's say I want to add agent, client IP. I want to add machine operating system. Okay, I don't want request. Let's say I want to add response. I can add that. And yeah, I'm good enough. So initially it was in the form of events, and now it's broken down with separate fields. Correct. Over here you can see that Mozilla is the agent, but there will be times when Mozilla is not the agent. So guys, remember, now there are 66 hits in total. Now, if I want to search for Mozilla, if I want events which has, only the agent has been only Mozilla, then I can simply type it here. I just type in Mozilla, then all the events which has the word Mozilla is returned. Correct? Now that is the power of Kibana. Okay, so now that I've shown you how things work, how do they look, so I think I can go and create a small report or a particular visualization for you, right? So this is the demo field, discover. So this is my entire event, and here I'm gonna let's say for a tabular view, I want first name, last name, and customer type. So I have customer type field, I have the customer city. Let's say add customer first name also, and customer ID. Now I've shown you how to interact with the data, right, and make it more readable for you. Now to get started with visualization and creating reports and graphs, you can quickly just go to the visualize tab over here. Click on visualize, and you can choose any graph you want, either pie chart or area chart or vertical bar or anything. Okay, so I'm going to click on pie chart, and here we can enter which index I want to get my data in from. Now if I want to perform on my demo index, so I can choose demo here, and over here I have to add details. So right now I'm not choosing anything, so my entire pie chart is filled. Okay, now let me filter out it to the report I want to. So in here, let's say the aggregation I want to do is count. I want a count of the different customer types that were there, right? So that's what I was showing you earlier also. Yeah, so like I was telling, you have various customer types, right? You have some customers are loyal, some are new, some are VIP. If you want the count of how many each of these fields are, then you can get that and visualize that with the help of a pie chart. So let me just quickly visualize that for you. I'm going to go here, I'm going to choose aggregation as count, and then I'm going to say aggregate as terms. You have further operations for aggregation. You have date histogram, you have histogram, range. These are, however, not going to apply at this point of time because I just want to count the number of fields in my entire index. I'm going to choose the word terms. Okay, and when you choose terms, you got to choose which field that you're talking about. And the one that I'm talking about is that of customer type, right? So customer type is here. So I'm going to choose this. And metric, of course, would be count. Let's say I want the results in descending order and I want results of the top 10. Okay, even though I might not have 10, size here basically fixes the number of results that it would aggregate. So that's what this is. And by just clicking on this apply changes here, your basically your pie chart changes, right? The view changes. So now if you see, your view is better. So instead of having to count over there on your own, you can simply do this. You can come here and see that, okay, the number of loyal customers that I have are 40, right? It's 40 in number. And if I go here, the number of new customers that I have, they are 35 in number. My VIP are 16 in number. My VVIPs are 9 in number. And then I have one other different type. So this may be a wrong field, but still, this is what is there in our data set. So this is how you can pull up a basic pie chart. And similarly, if you want to pull up probably some other index, you can do that too, right? But before that, when you exit this, if you don't want to lose this, you can save it. So you can save it by hitting on this button here, save. You can hit, you can do the name of the visualization. You can say customer types, and you can say it's a pie chart, correct? And you can hit on save. So by now, this particular chart has been saved to your visualize tab. So if you go here, this is newly created. Now, if you want to create one more bar chart for a different index, let's take Shakespeare index this time, then we can do that too. Let's say I want to visualize with the help of a horizontal bar, and Shakespeare is the index. Okay, and from here, let me again say that I want the aggregation to be based on the count. So let's understand our data set first of all. Let's go to the Shakespeare index. And if you choose the relevant fields, there is play name, there is speaker, there is and score. Okay, now what you can understand from here is that you have a lot of speakers who have been a part of a lot of plays, right? So the same play can have more than one speaker. As you can see from here, the name of the play is Henry IV, and King Henry was one of the speakers, Westmoreland was one of the speakers, and similarly, a lot of other speakers are there. So if you want details with respect to how many times this particular speaker spoke in that play, then you can do it. Because in the logs, this particular speaker's dialogue is present, correct? If you remember, let me just show to you. So this is the speaker, this is the play name, and this is what this particular speaker spoke. So if you want to count off how many times each of these speakers spoke in the play, you can do that, and I'll show you how to visualize that with the help of a bar chart. So let's say the aggregation again would be a count aggregation. I can add a label, let's say that count of speakers, right? And over here, I can say the y-axis. I don't need a y-axis, I already have one. So this time I can choose the x-axis. The aggregation this time would again be with the help of terms, right? It's not going to be date histogram or range or IPv4 range, right? So these are a little more use case specific. I can use a date histogram if I have logs which is going to be distributed over a period of time. Since I just want to calculate the number of speakers that I have in the play, I can choose terms, and from the field I can again choose the speaker, right? So I would get a count of the speakers over here. I would have different speakers here, and their count is what I would get in the form of a bar chart, correct? And let's say I want to get a result of 10 different speakers who spoke in that play, and I want it in descending order. Let's say, let me name it as speakers. Okay, perfect. Let me hit create. So as you can see, Prince Henry is the one who has the most number of dialogues. He's spoken the most number of times, and the count is 372 lines, correct? And similarly, Falstaff with 366 lines, Hotspur with 352, King Henry with 239, Poins with 88, Glenn Powder with 82, and a lot more just like that, right? So this is how you pull up a basic report. This is how easy it is to create reports with the help of various graphs and charts on Kibana. correct? It's as good as any other visualization tool. So let me also save this, and let me give it a name, speakers. Let's say count of speakers in place. Okay, and I can click on save. Now the good thing with ELK stack is that even at a later point of time, if you've updated this, right, you don't need to create a new one. So you can just come to count of speaker in place. You can make your modification over here with respect to x-axis or y-axis. You can say just give me 5. You can generate the new report. And at this point of time, however, it's not saved. Okay, but if you click on save, then you can save it and overwrite what the previous report was just created. Okay, so earlier it was 10, but now since I changed the value to 5, this has been updated and the new report has been saved. And since the visualization is ready, I can add it to the dashboard at a later point of time. Correct. So unless and until I click on save, it will not be saved. But the moment I do, it will be. So that's one of the options. And as you can see, if I just click on visualize now, I have these two visualizations, right? Count of speakers in place and customer types. So this was one pie chart I created, and this was a bar chart which I created just now. So let's go back to the Discover tab and see what else do we have. We have the log stash index, right? So this is where we have the server logs. Now let me do a quick visualization of something that's there over here. So when I say discover, this is the entire event, and let me filter out certain fields. Okay, let's say I just want host and I want client IP. Okay, now you can see that all these events have come in a very fraction of a second difference, right? So some have come in at 23, some have come in on May 19th, some on May 18th, some on May 20th. But yeah, whatever, they've all come in a very short span of time. Now what we can do is we can basically create a date histogram. I can create a chart. So you saw the option of date histogram and just histogram, right? So I can use that to show you how we can analyze these logs by the time they came in. So for that, let's again go to visualize and create a new one. I'm going to hit on plus, line chart, and let me choose log stash this time. And in y-axis, I have count. Okay. And this time in the x-axis bucket type, let's choose the aggregation to be date histogram. And when you do that, it automatically picks up the timestamp as one of the fields, right? So based on the timestamp field, it would return me all those events. So let me just hit save. Okay. Yeah. So since we've chosen date histogram and the timestamp, we have this dot over here. Can you see this? So there's nothing wrong with our report. It's just that it's a little too magnified. So let's click again and make it better for us. So as you can see, by clicking on that dot, we've zoomed into a different time zone. It was earlier last 5 years, and now it's come down to the particular dates when these logs came in. It was between the 18th and the 19th. So that's how easy it is to basically analyze your data, look at your data from different views, understand your data in a better fashion, and work with the ELK stack, right? So this again, I can just click on save, and I can say log history, right? I can save this, and even this visualization, which is in the form of histogram, is present with me. Now, how good is all this if I don't really use it, right? Well, now that I showed you the visualization aspect, let me just go back to the Discover tab and show you one more thing. So I can also filter data from right here, and that filter data, I can create a saved search. So saved search, right? So that's a brilliant thing. So let's say from here, I want to filter out particular some kind of data. So let's include response to this field. And right now I have all kind of responses. I have 200, I have a 404 response, and I also have a 503 response. Correct? So I have 3 different kind of responses. Of course, only 200 is a successful response. So what I can do is I can add a filter. I can say filter out the data where response is, and I can say 200 over here, and I can even give a name to this particular filter. I can say successful response. Okay, my bad, I have forgotten my spelling. Okay, perfect spelling. Great. So I can just give it a name and I can save this. So right now, you will not find 404 or 503 anymore in responses because I've filtered out this particular search to only those events which have a successful response. Correct? Now, even this, I can save it. I can say save and I can give it a name. I can say successful responses colon 200. Okay. And I have basically pinned one. So next time I want to open some search, supposing there's a kind of a search which I do on a day-to-day basis, my admin does on a day-to-day basis. So instead of having to type and filter out 200 every time, he can simply click on open and click on what he wants. If it's a response and failure which he wants, or if it's a speaker filter, or if it's successful responses, whatever. By clicking on successful responses, you get the data of only the successful responses. And similarly, if you click on any other saved search, like speaker filter, then in this case, it says speaker, the keyword, it does not have King Henry, right? So that is a rule. So here in this case, wherever King Henry was a speaker, those events have been filtered out. So you'll find all the other speakers here except for King Henry. That's one thing. And I can also open another filter, which is response and failure, where only Chrome has been used as an agent, right? So these are the different filters that we can do, and we can save, we can have saved searches and all these things, right? So these are so much of opportunities that we have with the Discover and the Visualize tab. So now comes the dashboard aspect, which I was talking about, which you can share with a lot of people, which would get updated in real time, and which, you know, once you do it, it's all set. So that kind of advantage you have with dashboards. So let's create a dashboard. By clicking on add button, we can create whatever we want, right? So I've already created a few of these visualizations, right? I created a few of these reports just now in front of you. So let me add these visualizations to my dashboard. So count of speakers and plays, count of types, pie chart, and see, the moment I do it, it comes up over here. So this is how my dashboard will look like. And similarly, log history is another report which I created. So once I add that, that also comes here. And besides that, even the saved search, whatever you save, right, that can also come up. So let's say I want filtered answers to speakers. I can choose that, and that would come up here. And successful responses is another thing that I have chosen. So when I've chosen all these things, all would come up in my dashboard. Now what I can do is I can quickly save this, correct? So if I click on save, I can give it a name to this dashboard. Now let's say this is my dashboard. And by just clicking on save, your dashboard is ready. So this is how this dashboard will look like. So at any point of time, in a hurry, if you want to see your important metrics which you see on a day-to-day basis, that can be accessed from this dashboard, my dashboard option, correct? So everything at one go, at one instance. So your business decisions can be made quickly. If there's any emergency, if there's any drop in the graph, you'll get to know immediately. If there's an unusual spike anywhere, that you'll visibly see all those things, right? So here it of course says no results found. So Akash had just put in a comment saying no results were found for pie chart. So well, the reason for that is the time range, Akash. So if I just make it the last 5 years, the pie chart is back, right? Yeah. So that's how things work. So when I changed the time range over there, this of course went back to a dot. So I have to change the time range for it to be visible. So that's how things work with Kibana, all right? And that's how fun it is to use Kibana, guys. And if you want to like share it with other people, you can do it by clicking on this button, and then you have these links over here. If you want to embed this dashboard somewhere, then you have an option of embedded iframe, right? You can embed your dashboard into some particular web page of yours, and it will be visible there. But otherwise, if you want to give your team access to this particular dashboard, you can just copy this, and you can let them use it. The only difference would be that in this case it's localhost, but otherwise once you work on it on the server, it would be the IP address of the server colon the port number, right? So I'll show you how that looks like. So from incognito, when I hit that same URL, I will get to see the same dashboard which I created. So that's how I can let people collaborate with me and get to see what I've created, correct? So that is about Kibana, guys. That's about ELK. So I hope you guys had fun, correct? So that pretty much is an end to my session here. Timely on is one topic which I'll be talking about in my next class. All right, so stay tuned to that. And till then, let me just go back to my slides and see is there anything that's left. So I explained how to create a date histogram visualization, and I showed you how to create a bar chart and also a pie chart. So yeah, that's pretty much an end to this particular session, guys. If there are any doubts, please put them on the chat box. I'll answer them right now. Okay, so seems like there are no doubts. Thank you, Akash, for being in the session. Thank you, Mahesh. Hope you guys have a good night. And I'll catch you people in the next session. All right? Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries, and we will reply to them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to our Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!